What was your experience like transitioning from salesman to sales manager for the first time?
Yeah, I got a phone call from a guy. I was a salesperson. My next two leaders called me out of the blue one day and just said, "Hey, you're now the director of sales for this company I worked for a long time." And I was totally shocked. I hadn't really not done any preparation for that. Looking back on it, they had given me opportunities to grow my leadership, but it was just a phone call. They saw something in me, and so I just started leading a sales team. At the time, it was 12 people. It was based in Georgia and Tennessee, and it grew to 25 people. I had great mentors, so I didn't know that I had the skills when I got promoted into that role, but I had been given opportunities to watch somebody else lead really well. Most people in sales, if they get promoted from sales to sales leadership, there's two things that happen. Either they're taking over a team that is in total turmoil because the person got fired and it's a train wreck, or they are taking over because someone got promoted. I was in that second camp. So it was really nice to be able to take over a team that was really well functioning and just kind of hone them in. So
the latter sounds ideal.
It is definitely ideal, but you also, sometimes the bar is really low. If you're taking over for a sales leader that is not doing their job, the bar is relatively low. If you just get people aligned and start them moving in the right direction, you'll look like a hero.
If you're just a warm body, you're winning.
Yeah, it's pretty much. It's a little easier than that. It's a little harder than that, but it sounds easy.
So we were talking to Brian Buffini earlier about how sales teams, they tend to promote the best salesperson into a sales leadership role, and sometimes it can end with some frustration when that person maybe doesn't deliver similar results in leadership. So why do you think, on occasion, effective salespeople aren't necessarily the best sales leaders?
Yeah, it's an interesting dilemma. I've been confronted with that a few times in my career, where a really good salesperson, sometimes the best salesperson on that team, really wants to be in leadership. There's a certain set of skills that a salesperson needs to have, and there's a different set of skills that a people leader needs to have. And if those two things are not in the same person, it's going to be really difficult. So salespeople, a lot of us, and I'm a salesperson, our world stops at the end of our nose. We're most concerned about what's going to benefit me. In people leadership, you never think about yourself. You shouldn't if you're doing it right. It's really about focusing on other people. And so good salespeople, high quality, high octane salespeople that are going to go out and kick doors in, sometimes they're honestly a little bit too selfish in their normal day-to-day activity. Then if you put them in a people leadership role, they're going to think everybody should do it their way. Everybody should do it the way that I did it. And that's going to become a really big problem for your business.
Yeah, you can kind of let ego get in the way when you go, well, exactly. I'm the man. I was the top salesperson.
Yes.
So you better listen to me.
Yeah, do it like I do it. Why can't these people do it like you did? Well, you have a specific personality. You have a specific set of skills. They may not have that set of skills. They may not have that personality. They can still be successful. You just have to figure out the way to motivate them to be successful, give them the tools to do it. That's a really difficult transition for somebody that has been about me producing for a long time.
Yeah.
And I wasn't the best salesperson on my old team. I can tell you that. There were lots of people that were better.
Was that a tough transition where you had to really figure out the people side and go, how do I invest in people the right way?
Yeah, it definitely, I think the stuff like the EntreLeadership podcast, when I didn't work here, was a huge help for me, because this is where I was getting my leadership training through things like this and through the books that you all introduced me to. So you can do investment on your own to make sure you're ready for that step. But once you get that slam transition and get that phone call that, hey, you're now the director of sales, it's time to figure it out. And it's at that point, you were really trying to learn, how do I motivate other people instead of just motivating myself?
That's good. So what is the role of a sales leader? We know the role of a salesperson is to sell. That's pretty clear. But sales leader, that can be a little trickier.
Yeah, there's two different sides to that. Number one is understanding the goals of the business. So as a sales leader, you have to understand where the business wants to go and how does sales help with that. So having constant conversations with your leadership or your owner, if you're in a small business, is really important, because you need to understand where are we trying to go so that you can turn around and change that message and package that message for a salesperson to listen to. Because as business owners, you have one objective and you may speak in one way, but unless it's articulated in a way that a salesperson will actually make a sense in their mind, it's not going to hit them where it needs to hit. So the sales manager is kind of a translator from business needs down to the salesperson's ears. So that's one of the roles. Some of the other stuff that sales leaders do is figure out ways to motivate individuals. So you have a sales team, if it's 2 people, if it's 1 person, if it's 5 people, you have different things that motivate people different ways. understanding how each of your people work is really important, because you can ring a shiny bell and say, hey, everybody gets this trinket, but there are going to be some people who are not motivated by trinkets. It doesn't help those 3 people who are like, I really am just here for the money. So you have to understand what motivates each of them.